Isaiah chapter 60. Arise, Jerusalem, and shine like the sun. The glory of the Lord is shining on you. Other nations will be covered by darkness, but on you the light of the Lord will shine. The brightness of his presence will be with you. Nations will be drawn to your light, and kings to the dawning of your new day. Look around you and see what is happening. Your people are gathering to come home. Your sons will come from far away. Your daughters will be carried like children. You will see this and be filled with joy. You will tremble with excitement. The wealth of the nations will be brought to you. From across the sea, their riches will come. Great caravans of camels will come from Midian and Ephah. They will come from Sheba bringing gold and incense. People will tell the good news of what the Lord has done. All the sheep of Kedar and Nebaioth we brought to you as sacrifices and offered on the altar to please the Lord. The Lord will make his temple more glorious than ever. What are these ships that skim along like clouds, like doves returning home? They are ships coming from distant lands, bringing God's people home. This is the word of the Lord. Ray, just so that you know, Sarah and Paul are happy for their presentation to be recorded. Okay? Thank you. Well, it's lovely to have Paul and Sarah with us on Sunday. It's been a while since Sunday. I think you were with us last time midweek for something. Before that, I know we had a meeting on Zoom with you, which was great. So it's really lovely to have you with us. Come and join me. I hope you're both mic'd up, ready. And this is Paul and Sarah from Thailand. We've seen pictures of them. We hear news about them. We pray for them. Well, here they are in the flesh. Let's give them a big welcome.
Okay, hopefully our mics are, they are working okay.
Testing. Hello.
Yep, you can hear us okay. So good morning. Thank you for having us here. We are really thankful that we've been invited to come here. Actually, Ilford, I didn't actually share with Andrew, and I kind of did that on purpose. This is my neighbourhood, effectively. I was born in Ilford. I grew up in Ilford. I was born in King George's Hospital, or the previous old maternity hospital. Lived in my childhood home for almost 50 years, and we got married in All Saints Church in Goodmays, went to Girls Brigade at Goodmays Baptist Church, so this is my neighbourhood. So we know Ilford very, very well. And it's just really good to kind of, I guess when we get the opportunity to kind of come to, like for me personally, come to local areas that we know well, which is obviously Ilford, Goodmays Baptist Church. We've done Forest Gate as well. It's just really, really good to be here. So we're just going to share with you, a bit about what we've been doing. I think the last time we were here was probably, I think it might have been 2018. So pretty much almost 6 years ago, quite a while ago. I think that may be when it was. And it's been a long time since we've been with you. So a lot's happened since then. We've done a lot of work since then, and so we'd really, really like to share about the work that God has been doing in Thailand, working in us, through us, and also the work that, restoring and bringing people to Christ in Thailand. So we'd like to share that with you. So,
just waiting for the PowerPoint to come up. Okay.
Technical hitches and all of that. So we'll just wait for that to come up. So I think it's actually up now. So.
Yeah. So, as I said, we're Paul and Sarah Brown. We are BMS mission workers based in Thailand, and we've been serving there now for almost 12 years.
It's actually 12. Actually, Friday gone, so the 28th was actually 12 year. It was the 12-year mark. Long time. It's gone quick.
So it does feel like it's gone quickly. We spent quite a bit of that time in Bangkok, which is the capital of Thailand, with an organisation called Nightlight International. Working with women and children caught up in the sex industry. And then we moved to Chiang Mai back in 2019. And that's the north of Thailand. So if you were travelling from Bangkok to Bangkok to Chiang Mai. It'll probably take you about 9 hours by car. But if you're taking the bus, probably about 12 hours. 12 hours. So it's a big country. It's a big country. Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a short video to try and bring you up to speed, really, with everything that we've been doing since we were last here. I think when we came here, we were actually still serving in Bangkok with Nightlight. And I think I recall us selling jewellery, some of Nightlight's jewellery at the back of the church. So as Paul said, that was actually working with women and children caught up in the sex industry, and we had various roles when we were with them. And then when we moved to Chiang Mai in 2019, we then started working with different hill tribe groups. So it was a number of different hill tribe groups, which kind of gave us an insight and understanding as to what their plight is, what their suffering is, etc., and how we could probably help them. And then we'll actually explain further afterwards how we started working with TKBC, which is the Thailand Karen Baptist Convention.
Okay, so there's a short video just to give you an overview of the first part of our journey.
I see a shattered, you see whole. I see it broken, but you see beautiful. And you're helping me to believe. You're restoring me piece by piece. There's nothing too dirty that you can't make worthy. You wash me in mercy. I am clean. There's nothing too dirty that you can't make worthy. You wash me in mercy. I am clean.
คุณเห็นฉันไหมดูจังกันเท้าหน้าที่นี่คุยน้องอะมอว่า Do you see me
My heart's beating, beating inside my chest.
Okay, so so what you saw there towards the end was the hill tribe groups that we'd actually been working with. So other than English, there were various other languages in there. We speak Central Thai, but there were various other hill tribe languages in there that those young ladies also speak. So we just now want to really bring you up to speed in terms of the work that we're now doing with the Thailand Karen Baptist Convention. And Karen is another hill tribe group, and although it's spelt Karen, the pronunciation is Karen, or in Thai, pronounced Garayang. And traditionally, the Karen people, practice spirit worship, which has coexisted with Buddhism. That's the main religion that is in Thailand. But the Karen have something called Latulise, which is the Golden Book. It's a prophecy that's been passed down from generation to generation. And within the Golden Book, it says there is one God called Yahweh. And it's interesting because that word is very, very close to Yahweh. And that God can be found within the words written in the book. And the prophecy states that the book will reach the Karen people in the hands of the youngest of the three brothers. And the Karen people will come to know God. Before the gospel came to the Karen, they had poems and legends that were very similar to the Old Testament. And this may be one of the reasons why the Karen have come to accept Christianity so easily. And the reason why we say that is because the Thais within Thailand, there's only about 0.1%, if that, Christians. It's very, very hard to minister to the Thais because they tend to although their main religion is Buddhism, what they tend to do, if you minister to them, they tend to they just pull Christianity in as another thing that they can add to Buddhism. But the Karen have actually accepted Christianity so openly, and it may be down to this thing that's been, the Golden Book, that's been passed down generation to generation. Also, the Karen do speculate that they may be one of the lost tribes of Israel. But it is speculation, and I will refer to this again through their costume as well.
Okay. So the first American Baptist missionary to Burma, discipled the first Karen believer called Ko Tai Bayu, and following his conversion, he was dedicated, he was an evangelism to the Karen people in Burma, and the gospel finally came from Burma to Thailand to TKBC in 1881. And the first Karen church in Thailand was established in Chiang Mai region. So they've been going a long time, the Christianity in, between the Karen. Yeah.
Okay, so just a bit more about who the Karen are. So the Karen trace their origins to northern China, Mongolia, Tibet, and a lot of the Karen have actually settled in Myanmar, which is now Burma, which is now Myanmar. And the Karen have actually settled, it's kind of in between on the borders of Thailand and Myanmar, and they've been there for many, many centuries. And although the Karen have come from within Burma, do not refer to the Karen as Burmese, because ethnically they are very, very different. Some of the Karen story is very tragic, and over the years, as an ethnic minority, they have endured much suffering. Obviously, due to the civil unrest and the conflict that's happening in Burma at the moment, a lot of the Karen have actually come over into Thailand, beg your pardon. And as a result of it, the numbers have actually increased. So at the moment, there's about 1 million Karen currently living within Thailand, and there's many more within refugee camps along the Thai-Burma border. And also some have actually immigrated to other countries throughout the world. In Myanmar, about 70% of the Karen are Christian, and in Thailand, around 40% of the Karen are Christian, and they are mostly Baptist.
Here's the Karen flag. They do have a flag, even though they don't have a country.
Okay, so what you now see on the screen is the writing, and it's all in one line. But this is the difference between the Karen writing, so I think you see that on my right-hand side. So on the right-hand side is Score Karen. So within the Karen, there is also different dialects as well. So this is Score Karen. There's also Poor Karen as well. And on the left side, there's also Central Thai, which is what we speak. So it's a completely different language. It looks different as well. And what tends to happen is they interchange. The young people will speak Karen as well as Thai, and often what tends to happen, they interchange between Thai and Karen, and therefore we understand Central Thai, and we often get lost when they then drift off into Karen. At this current process, we haven't actually got any plans to actually learn Karen, because we're still learning Thai. Although we've been there for 12 years, Thai is actually a very, very hard language to learn because it's tonal. But we are picking up sentences and words along the way as we go. But it does get quite confusing, obviously, working within such different languages. Plus, in northern Thailand, they also have northern Thai as well. Plus, there's northeastern Thai. So there's many different Thai dialects. But at the moment, we are kind of sticking with Central Thai. So it can get quite confusing sometimes.
I mean, the law is that the country must speak Central Thai, so that's why we're sticking to that one.
Yeah.
But as I said, there are different languages along the way, but we need to focus on learning one. Okay. The Karen have their own culture, which is rich and deeply rooted in their traditions, customs, and nature. They don't want to give up their language. They will practice that. They will practice their traditions. They want to keep they're very proud of their heritage, and they want to keep that going. They mostly live in small villages in the mountains, and some of those villages are only accessible via 4x4 trucks or by motorbikes. And I'll tell you, it's an extremely bumpy ride through the mountains.
Bumpy and dangerous ride, because it could be on the side of cliffs as well, or sides of the mountain, very dangerous ride. So in terms of their lifestyle and the way that they live within their villages, I think to the average Westerner, when you kind of go into their villages and you see their homes and then you go inside their homes and you think, oh, they've got nothing. But actually that's what they're used to. They don't have any beds, they don't have any wardrobes. You'd be surprised if there's a TV. Some of the remote locations don't have any electricity. But the most important thing that they do have is community, and you sense that when you actually go into the communities. The community has this sense of love and togetherness that is just way overpowering, and it's very humbling. I think that's probably one of the key things that we come away with when we've been there. They will, they open up their homes so openly to you and share so openly with us that it's been, I think we've learned a lot from them, and we are still learning a lot from them in terms of their humbleness and their simpleness of lifestyle, and even how they worship the Lord as well.
Okay, so most of the Karen work the land. They've learnt the sustainability, giving them the knowledge to protect the environment, and they are predominantly rice farmers. They grow vegetables as well, fruit and other crops and animals. And they provide food not only for themselves but to sell. In fact, during COVID, whilst the rest of the country was really struggling, particularly food, they were struggling for food even, these guys were able to sustain themselves and also were able to help those down below with food, so they were able to give out food to others as well. And they love to work the land sustainably, as I said, so they will work a part of the land for a little while, and then they'll let it rest, go to another part of the land, work that for a bit, and then let that rest and go somewhere else. So they try to do sustainability when they're growing food as well.
So they also have their own traditional dress as well, and the Karen actually excel in the art of weaving. And mothers will see it as a very, very important thing to actually pass this skill down to the females or daughters within the family. And the style of the garment is a very kind of simple style. It's a V-neck tunic, which comes to about here for the women, and then the women have a tube skirt. The young ladies will have a V-neck again, and also a longer dress, which is in white, and then the men have the V-neck tunic. Now, the part that I actually was referring to earlier in terms of them possibly being one of the lost tribe of Israel, is that actually each of the four corners have tassels on it as well. We've also had some reference to another church we visited just, I think it was last week Sunday, actually said the Manasseh tribe, which is actually one of the lost tribe of Israel, also worship God called Yahweh as well. So again, there may be some correlation there. So I think it's almost like digging deeper and, finding out a little bit more information as we go along. But the fact that their garment also has tassels on the corner as well is an interesting fact. And the colours in terms of the colours of the traditional dress. So the women wear black and red, and the men have black and red with a touch of white. And then the young ladies' dresses are actually white all the way through. However, as fashions have changed over the years and generations, now everybody wears a variety of colours, and it's a vibrant, literally, it's like a feast for the eyes, really, in terms of the colours that you see. So you'll see men in vibrant yellows and greens and purples and all sorts. So it's actually really, really beautiful, and you see the embroidery on bags and, things like that, and purses.
Okay, so we just want to give you an overview of our partnership, or BMS's partnership with TKBC. They've actually been working with TKBC for over 30 years. TKBC has had mission workers such as Pete and Liz Maycock, who worked at the Bible school as well as doing evangelism for over 10 years. And then they had, before that, they had Jackie Wells, who worked with the women's department, helping build that up for over 20 years. BMS is now supporting pastors, Karen pastors, women and the youth departments, as well as now with us teaching English and now bakery skills.
Okay, so the Thailand Karen Baptist Convention's mission statement is the Karen Baptist churches have joined together according to the same faith and Baptist tradition, preserving language, culture and doing holistic missions to witness for Jesus Christ. So within TKBC there are 12 church associations or districts which consists of around 239 churches, 274 associated churches and around 44,000 baptised members and around 21,000 non-baptised members. And there are about 5 departments which consist of evangelism, youth, the women's, the foundation, which is the Karen Development Service Foundation, KDSF, and 2 Bible schools, which is Siloam that we also teach at, and the other one is Christos.
So we started in TKBC, a Thai Karen Baptist Convention, in 2022, September 2022. We've had various roles. One of those is that we've had the opportunity to visit the Karen communities, spending time with them, listening to them, praying for them, and just encouraging them. And it's been such a wonderful time for us. It's very humbling, as Sarah's already said. And always their generosity is so great. Whenever we visit families, they always want to give us something to go with, to share with us. Even though they don't have much, they always want to give us some rice or some other produce they've farmed.
Fresh rice is beautiful, it's lovely. When it's just literally been grown with their own hands, it's really lovely. So, as I was saying before, in terms of the language, to the older member of the family, they generally don't speak Central Thai. They may possibly speak Northern Thai, but Karen is their first language. But what we've always said is a genuine smile goes a very, very long way, and even maybe kind of some hand gestures, etc. But it tends to kind of help to keep the relationship going as well.
That Karen have been said that they've been born with beautiful singing voices, and I think we will definitely agree with that. We've got a little clip here just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. But they love to sing. We teach at the Bible school, and they, even during breaks, they will want to sing, just get in little huddles and sing. And whenever we listen to them, we always think of the Welsh choirs, but you have a listen and see what you think. So our roles, we started, as we said, we had a slow start with TKBC. We started in February of 2022. However, unfortunately, due to our visas, we had to return back to the UK. However, it did give me the opportunity to do a TESOL course, which is teaching English to speakers of other languages. I see you've got lots of stuff here to do with teaching language to other speakers as well, so you have an understanding of what we're talking about. Something I was not really, didn't really cross my mind, that I've been in Thailand for so long, like the 10 years or whatever, and English was something that I didn't think I'd ever want to teach because, my strength is I'm an accountant by background, so I'm good with maths, that sort of stuff, logical stuff, but English was never my strongest subject. So whenever anybody said to me, oh, do you want to teach people English? I've said, no, not for me. But God's actually caught me on this one. So yeah, and when I did the course, it was probably one of the toughest things I've ever done. The course took, 6 weeks to do? And then I found out later that this is a university course they normally teach over a year, and I did it in 6 weeks, and it almost killed me. It literally almost killed me. But after doing it, both Sarah and I teach English now at the Bible school. Sarah's didn't want to do that either, but we've really come to love doing it. Not the preparation, we still hate the preparation, but the actual teaching we love, and the interaction we have with the young people afterwards, that's even better because we get time to spend with them and then hear a part of their story and hear their testimonies, and it really is a blessing. So that part we've really, really enjoyed, but as I said, we still don't like the preparation for it.
I was just going to add on that, actually, the fact that neither of us were, thinking that we were going down the route of teaching English. I think it's really, again, a reminder that, we think we know what's best for us, but actually God has other plans, and he always does. But I think it's just really just trying to be obedient to what it is that he wants us to do. And so we've kind of been dragged into this one kicking and screaming, but we've, as Paul just said, we've thoroughly come to enjoy it. Yeah.
Sarah also taught a young lady online, a Karen lady online. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. And also, I've been teaching some of the staff as well, English. And we've done helped on attending leadership training, travelled to various villages. And Sarah has this lovely job of translating reports from Thai to English, which she hates doing, but has to be done. And I'm also working alongside some of the Karen staff to update their website, TKBC website. Okay.
So recently, just as of the beginning of last month, it's kind of taken a long time in the planning and processing. I actually ran the first bakery training session. Now, at Nightlight International, some of you, if you've been reading the prayer letters and following us along the way, we did actually set up a bakery in Bangkok. And I think somewhere along the line, when we started with TKBC, I kind of got a rude awakening from God where he basically said, you're not going to be doing that straight away. And obviously the teaching English was the first part. But it wasn't to say that I wasn't going to be doing it. It had to be in God's timing. So that's why it's kind of taken a bit of a while to actually start that process. And the opportunity kind of arose at the beginning of the year, and the cogs started to kind of move into motion. And I kind of really had to go back to the drawing board with this one and really just pray about it and ask God for inspiration, because with limited resources in the mountains, hardly any electricity, they don't own ovens, even the Thais don't, because they don't bake. Baking is not really their skill. So, if you haven't got an oven, how do you do baking? So really, I was just kind of thinking, right, okay, Lord, how does this one work? So with inspiration from God, I was able to teach baking through steamed cakes and breads using a rice cooker, which every home has got in Thailand. Even we've got one. We use one here, actually, when we come back, because it's such a cultural thing. As well as we did actually do a couple of baked goods, because there are some remote locations that do have access to electricity. So try to cover a whole variety of, different kind of, desserts and things. And the purpose of doing this really is to provide income generation really for several different, village areas where they could possibly start small businesses, where they have income generation for small projects or to raise money for families. And the first one that we actually did, went really, really well. I mean, I really thank God that it went well, because I will admit it now, there were a couple of the recipes that I taught, such as the steamed ones, I didn't practice them. And I really did say, I kind of went into it a bit blind, and I really did pray and say, Lord, you're going to have to lead on this one. And they did actually come out really well, so I learned something from it as well. But I was very honest with them at the beginning and told them that. So we were all learning together. On the very last day, we actually did bread, and I was able to kind of lead a devotion on Jesus being the bread of life, etc. And one of the ladies actually then opened a live TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but she opened her live TikTok. And very quickly, I didn't realise what was going to happen. I don't think any of the group realised what was going to happen. It started off at like a number of 20, then it went up to 50, then 100, then 200, 300, 400, 500. And by the end of this, bread making session, we had 900 people watching live on TikTok, which was kind of quite unbelievable. But and asking questions as well while we were kind of getting involved in doing the bread making. And so I really, really thank God for the way that it was used, and so much so that along with the women's ministry leader, we are actually planning to do another one in September. On the very last day also, we were able to do a mini graduation ceremony, like just giving certificates of achievement and obviously attendance as well. And they just really, really enjoyed it. And so as I said, I kind of grew from it as well. It was a really good time.
Okay, so these are some of the students that we've taught at the Bible school. And they graduated recently. It was wonderful to see them graduate. and one of the males, the one in there, was able to do a mini sermon in English as well, which is really, really proud to see him do. As Sarah said, as we mentioned earlier, Sarah taught this young Karen lady online. Her story was that she wants to go to university, but one of the requirements is that you have to learn English, have English at a certain level, and she tried for 2 years and failed to get past it. So Sarah came on board, and she was able just to encourage her and give her a bit of confidence she was lacking, and she found out recently that she passed the exams, and now she's able to go to university. She wants to be a doctor, so she's going to medical school. And then if she passes that, she'll be the first one in her village, to go to university, and the first one to be a doctor as well. So just pray for her on that one. Sarah, you're still it. You're able to see.
Oh, I was going to say, sorry, just to add on that, sorry, Paul just reminded me, the young lady that Paul is actually referring to, I actually got her to meet her for the first time this year at a conference. So because obviously teaching her online, she lives in a remote location, we'd never really been able to see each other, but as a result of, in fact, what happened was, I didn't know she was going to be there, she didn't know I was going to be there, and we hadn't seen each other in this 2 years I've been teaching her, and she was walking from one direction, I was walking from the other, and immediately, as soon as we saw each other, we knew each other. It was almost like, we'd been meeting in person for ages. Even though we were online, it just seemed natural. So I was able to spend an afternoon with her, meeting her family and meeting her mum as well. So it was just really, really good to actually kind of see her in person and, just spend that wonderful afternoon with her. Okay, so I'm just going to share a story about a young man who is a scholarship student. So TKBC also does scholarships as well. And this is Patrodon Tara Udamsuk's story. So KDSF, which is the Karen Development Service Foundation, actually work with some of the scholarship students. Now, this is actually quite an important part because a lot of the scholarship students within the Karen, but it's not just the Karen, it's also the Hill Tribe groups as well, they don't have status, they are stateless. Now, as a result of being stateless, it means that they don't have access to education, it means they don't have access to medical care, so they fall through the cracks. And as a result of it, it makes them very, very vulnerable and susceptible to things such as trafficking, sex trafficking, labour trafficking, and, just very, very vulnerable. So I'm just going to read an account of how Patrodon felt before and after he had obtained his Thai nationality. My name is Patrodon Tara Udamsuk. I was born in Thailand. I've always felt a connection with Thailand and Thai people. From birth, I've never lived anywhere else. But because my family is stateless, it also meant by default I was stateless. As a family, we do not hold Thai nationality or nationality from any other country. I am ethnic Karen Pokayo. My parents are from the Karen state of Myanmar and moved to the Thak province before I was born. Most stateless people in northern Thailand are from the Lahu, Akha, Thai and Karen tribes. Growing up, I had the opportunity to attend school, but the problem was that I did not have a Thai ID card. Therefore, I was unable to provide my identity status to the government whenever it was required. Before obtaining citizenship, I was anxious all the time. I felt this way while studying at elementary school, secondary school, and during my time studying for my bachelor's degree at university. I felt very scared every time I saw police officers. Even other ethnic police who had already received their Thai citizenship were afraid when they saw the police. Therefore, as a stateless person, I was more fearful. I faced a lot of problems while studying. When I finished high school, I wanted to continue studying in college to study nursing. The guidance counsellor told me that I could not apply for further studies because I did not have Thai citizenship. I used to feel inferior and neglected and wondered why others could have access to everything while I was restricted, even though I was born in Thailand. Everything was complicated. Whatever I did, there was always obstacles. I very clearly remember the day in June 2022 when the district officials called and told me to come and take photos for my Thai ID card. I had been approved to receive Thai citizenship. I was very happy and smiling as I travelled to the district office. When I was stateless, I constantly felt like I was in the dark. There was no clarity. However, after receiving my Thai citizenship, I felt light. Being granted my Thai citizenship, I became a fully fledged Thai national. I felt like I was born again. I was getting a new life different from being stateless. There was clarity and no obstacles. I now feel comfortable wherever I go. I no longer worry about being called by the police and being asked for my ID documents. Obtaining my Thai citizenship has given me the opportunity of freedom to live life with a weight taken from my chest. I have more opportunities in terms of work and the freedom to live my life. I now have the courage to express myself more about my own tribe. I am currently proudly serving the local community as a coordinator for the Association of Intermountains People Education and Culture in Thailand in the provinces of northern Thailand. And again, that really is just a kind of an account, really. That's just one of many, many, many students and even families that don't yet have their citizenship. And because they're stateless, it just makes them so vulnerable. And as a result of it, the Karen Development Service Foundation within TKBC also does give raising awareness, helping them understand the plight of trafficking, understanding the plight of their vulnerability when they're at that stage, and making sure that they're actually kind of trained up and they are aware of the situation as well.
So these are some of the scholarship students that received their citizenship that year, and then below that, 11 students that graduated last year. Building relationships is really important, building friendships as well. But TKBC is a big organisation. As Sarah mentioned earlier, there's over 240 churches plus extra associated churches as well. So it's hard for us to keep relationships with everybody, but there are a few people that we've tried to keep in contact with. But as I said, it is much harder to keep that sort of relationship building on such a big scale. Lots of people know us, but we can't remember everybody's names as well. Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing we're really thankful for is the nurturing of our old friendships. So the photograph that you see on my right-hand side is of a young lady, Ajan Yulabe, who we actually met in the UK, I think in 2011, before we actually left for Thailand in 2012. And as a result of it, we didn't get to see her very frequently because we lived in Bangkok, she lived in Chiang Mai. But now that we've moved to Chiang Mai, we do get to see her more frequently. And also we've worked with her sister as well, so it's really great to nurture that relationship. And then the other friend that you can see on our left-hand side is, you may know, I was just about to say her real name then, but I think in our newsletters and prayer letters, we've actually put her name down as Yim, which is a Thai word, which means smile, because her personality is very infectious. But we worked with her when we were at Nightlight International. Now, her story is that when we first started at Nightlight International in Bangkok, she had recently just come out of the sex industry. So, being exploited by the sex industry. And we are thankful. I think it's in certain situations you kind of, as we've gone through the journey of doing mission work, where sometimes we plant the seeds and we don't always get to see the fruit. But in this situation with this young lady, we've been able to see the fruits of how God has actually transformed her life completely. And I believe somebody in their prayers this morning actually said, ransomed, rescued, and restored. And I would actually add on the word to that and say transformed, because this young lady, she came to Christ. She's actually now a worship leader. She's now working for another organisation, and she's actually a leader going back into the red light district, ministering to the women that are in the red light district. And I think it's really just a reminder that God can kind of just turn things around completely. And the fact that her experiences, she now has the experience to go in and actually minister and share God's word, share the truth, share the light of God within the red light district. So continue to keep Yim in your prayers as she does that as well. But it's really just an understanding that her past is not holding her back, and she's trusting God to kind of lead her forward in the ministry that she now does as well.
TKBC recognises the need to raise and train new leaders and ministers. This is a picture of a new leader being prayed for at the TKBC annual assembly.
Okay, so I've just seen the baptism pool behind me, but one of our favourite times with any organisation that we've been to is the baptisms, and we've witnessed them in all different forms. We've witnessed them in buckets, in rivers, in streams, in swimming pools. I think you saw in that first video, a lady in a bucket. But wherever they are done and however they are done, it's always a time of rejoicing as you realise that God's word is continuing to go forth even in remote mountain locations. So this one in particular, in the peaceful mountains of Sok Kong, there was no internet, no telephone lines, no access to anything. It was an annual assembly, TKBC annual assembly. It was great to see 25 people baptised simultaneously. It was one of those moments they all went down at once and we wasn't expecting that. So it was almost like blink and you miss it.
With 25 new ministers
with
as well.
With 25 new ordained ministers. So I was just kind of looking at your baptismal pool, wondering whether or not you'd get 25 in there. But this one was done in a great big, I guess, a river. So there was enough of them to kind of, be in there all at the same time. We do actually have a video. You go on to the next slide. We do have a video to show you, which is the Karen Ministry Lifestyle and Culture. And look very carefully because we did actually manage to capture this baptism with the 25 being baptised. So we'll just show you that video now. And it kind of gives you an insight into the Karen's lifestyle and the ministry that we also do as well.
We were created alike but not the same, in the image of the living God, who has called us all by name. Every language, every color, you and I are sisters and brothers. We're all children of the Father. Praise to the one who created us all. Oh, God of all nations, we sing out to
just got a few prayer points for you guys. If you could pray for setting up of a mission training hub. TKBC wants to be a mission training hub, not just for the Karen, but to the other tribal groups as well as the Thais, and also to the neighbouring countries as well. Also pray for the strengthening of relationships with us and the students. As we said, we love being around them. Just continue to pray that those relationships grow. And also pray for TKBC staff, that they will just continue with that passion, have that passion to work for God as well. Okay. What else we got there? And then the question is, what can you do? Well, we'd say, what's in your hands? If you think about Moses, and when he was at the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army was after him, and he didn't know what to do, but God showed him to stretch out his hand. And what did he have in his hand? He had a staff, a stick, basically, a stick, right? God has given us each what the equipment we need to do whatever He's asked us to do. It may not look like much, and we might look at it and say, "Oh, I wish I had that person's gifting or that person's strength or abilities." But God has given you exactly what you need to do what God has given you to do. It's not a matter of what you've got; it's a matter of who you've got. And if you've got God, and you allow Him to be obedient when He asks you to do something. Don't say, "I can't do it." Well, you're right, you can't do it. That's the best place to be, is where you say, "I can't do it," but God can, and allow Him to work through you. I certainly know that's true of us as we've been working. With many a times we said, "We can't do it, God, we can't." But He just reminds us, it's not you, it's not about us, it's God. And just get out of His way and let Him do what He needs to do. So just remember, whatever God's given you, you are able, you're equipped already. Use what God's put in your hands. Okay.
So other ways that you can help is literally becoming a 24/7 partner, which I think as a church, I think you are. So you can actually find out more information by going onto the BMS website for that.